Alright, so hello and welcome. I'm in a town called Malbork in Poland, and right here is the world's largest castle by land area, with an incredible 52 acres.
Founded all the way back into the 13th century and completed over 100 years later, stands the world's largest brick castle and the largest castle by land area. In today's video, we're going to be lucky enough to explore inside, so I'll show you around and you can see it all for yourself. And by the end of the video, I'm sure that you'll want to go and see it in real life too. Anyway, let's rewind back to the start of the day, starting from the beautiful city of Gdansk, so full of colour, beautiful buildings and rich history. We take the train from the station to Malbork for around £6 return, which takes about 45 minutes to reach the town. Then, from the station, it's about a 20-minute walk past some beautifully coloured houses to where you'll come across a medieval knight pointing our way to our first sight of the beautiful castle. And before we go in, I think it's also definitely worth mentioning that, like the city of Gdansk, during World War II, pretty much all of the castle was destroyed. So almost everything you see will have been restored in the 20th century to what it would have looked like originally. Although, as you'll see, some scars still do remain.
So you've got a ticket sorted, about 50 zloty each, which is about £10 per person. But anyway, let's get inside and have our first look inside the world's largest castle.
So the castle itself is made up of 3 sections, all enclosed by defensive walls and moats. Right here you can see the moat enclosing the 2 inner sections. But it's time to get inside over the little wooden bridge.
Alright, so we're just making our way through the main entrance now. I was just reading a sign there, and again it was saying during the Second World War there was a lot of artefacts stolen by the Germans when the Russians pushed over from the east, and the Russians themselves plundered a lot of important artifacts which are missing and can't be found. So we're just heading through now to the main part, I'm guessing. Wow. Take a look at this. Have a look at all that. Wow. So I'm guessing this is like the main courtyard, main square. Absolutely beautiful. So as you can see as well, pretty much the whole castle is made with these lovely red bricks, which were made from mud sediments on the river that you saw in the introduction. But yeah, I had a look online and there's something crazy like about between 10 and 20 million bricks used in the whole of this castle, which is insane really, but yeah.
Anyway, I think it's also important to give you a little bit of an interesting history lesson before we head into the next section of the castle. So the castle was built by a military society known as the Teutonic Order, made up of knight crusaders. Originally, the order was formed to aid Christians on their pilgrimages to the Holy Land. After they were defeated by Islamic forces in the Middle East, they were essentially pushed back into the German state of Prussia. And then that's when they built this absolutely wonderful castle, predominantly to strengthen their control of the region on the Baltic coast. And so within the outer walls of the castle are 52 acres of land, officially making it the largest castle in the world by land area. If you're like me and have no idea how big that is, it's around the size of 40 football fields, and if that still doesn't help you, well, it's big. But before I bore you with too much history, let's carry on exploring.
Alright, so we've just come through on another lovely little drawbridge, but if you look over the side, there's like another little moat, and there was one just outside of the main castle as well. So you can think if anybody invaded and got through this first defence, there's obviously this bridge again, which would obviously come up and would be like another round of protection along with this moat.
Heading over the drawbridge into the inner castle, I nearly fall over a deadly ancient trap called a hidden step. And there were 2 beautiful doorways either side of us, with stunning brickwork around the archways.
Alright, so we're pretty much lost in this place already, it's so big. But again, we're in another lovely little courtyard here. And there's some little thing there, I've got absolutely no idea what it is. So if any of you have any idea, let me know in the comments.
Moving on, in the west wing you can find the kitchen, and on a side note, I think it's pretty mad to think that around 3,000 knights lived in this castle at one point. Heading up the staircase, you could get lovely views into the courtyard and see the magnificent Gothic stonework in all the windows. You really could get lost in all the passages, and not to mention all the winding staircases too. Eventually, we stumbled upon the chapel, which really did have an archaic feel to it. Leaving the chapel behind, I'm really curious to see what we can find outside, so let's go.
There you can see there's some lovely bits of detail there, just on the archway. Yeah, but this castle is an example of Gothic architecture, and I don't really have any idea what that actually means. but I know there's quite a lot of Gothic architecture in Barcelona, and just these little spires and some of the windows inside in the courtyard remind me of what I saw in Barcelona as well, which is quite interesting. But yeah, I'm not very cultured, I don't really know what Gothic means. But also, just walking a little bit further along, you can see all the patterns of brick as well. Some old, some new, and some places where it's been worn away slightly. So that's possibly evidence of where some of the rejuvenation has been done after the Second World War.
Oh, and just one really important bit of advice if you are wanting to visit Malbork Castle from Gdansk. So you really can save a fortune by visiting the castle by train and just paying for entry yourself, which will cost you about £15, rather than doing one of the private tours from Gdansk, which can cost anywhere between £50 and £150. So now, we've pretty much done a loop around the upper castle, and we head to the museum, where they have so many recovered artefacts. Personally, I love seeing all the medieval weapons. It does baffle me to think of how common such brutality probably was back in medieval times, although evidence of the horror of war has also been found outside the castle walls. Back in 2009, over 2,000 bodies had accidentally been discovered on a digging site for a hotel. How chilling it must have been to discover the bodies of men, women and children in mass graves with no clothes or possessions. It is thought that they were German civilians caught in the crossfire late on in the war in 1945, when Soviet forces pushed the Germans back, although it's likely many died from hunger and the cold. Right from this castle, it's easy to be left speechless at the terror and conflict it's seen outside its walls. Especially the tragedies of World War II, which just seemed to be much more chilling and jarring, that such terror ensued only 2 or 3 generations back from now. But before you get upset, don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. We're now headed to my favourite part of the whole castle. Heading through this grand doorway takes you to the beautiful gardens. This is where you get the best views of the upper castle, with all the gorgeously designed turrets protruding outwards. Mind you, I have to say, I think the red ivy creeping up the castle walls really made this spot feel magical. And saving the best spot till last, with a lovely cobbled path, red ivy on the left, green on the right, and one of the towers placed behind the scenic wooden bridge, I really fell in love with this spot.
Alright, so I think that's pretty much it. I think we've explored a lot now. We've been in plenty of the places inside. It's like a maze. Lots to see, although the interior is a bit... There's not that much interior, but you've got a bit of the museum, some of the weapons and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And outside, there's definitely my favourite spot. Absolutely beautiful. A little wooden bridge. Part of the castle in the background. Yeah, it really is gorgeous. So I definitely recommend, if you're in Poland, come and see it. If you're in Gdansk, nice and cheap to get the train along, about £10-14 entry, something like that. So definitely recommend it. But anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm also going to be doing a vlog of Gdansk if you want to see that. It should be great. So make sure you watch that too. But anyway, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe. Leave a comment if you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.